Hey there, welcome to Hiker Homily number 29. We're in the week of August 6th. We're moving along in that year. Let me tell you what, summer is starting to come to a close, at least around here. I don't know about other parts of the country, but here in this part of California, we've got 2 of the 3 school districts already in session and one going to be in session in like a week and a half. So, wow, just like that, summer's almost gone. But if you've been watching the channel, I had a pretty good summer. Had a lot of adventures, a couple of road trips, a really big backpack trip that had been looking forward to for a long time, the Lost Coast Trail. That just really whooped me, but at the same time invigorated me. Amazing trip in different ways. Just taught me some lessons and just some good stuff. Oh, I got some visitors coming in. I can hear them. But yeah, so good summer, but starting to come to a close. But around here, we don't start getting any kind of like real winter weather until like late October. When in fact we will get heat, sometimes triple-digit heat, in this part of California in the Central Valley, clear into September sometimes. So yeah, I'll still be getting some probably some day hiking in and things like that. Pretty sure. But this week's actual topic for Hiker Homily, I kind of mulled over. I was going to do like trail names and how you get them and things like that, because there's a lot of stuff in the hiker community where, a lot of people think there are rules to stuff. This is how it has to be. This is how you get these things. So that kind of got me off on a tangent that I decided this time I'm going to approach kind of a, I don't know if you'd call it a delicate subject, maybe a controversial subject. But just my opinion, the hiker community now, this modern hiker community, mostly online. Most of the hikers I've seen on trail have been pretty cool folks. The Lost Coast Trail met a lot of great people, a lot of good folks out there. Different trails I've done, for the most part, just real friendly. Say hi. Everyone's talkative and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like the way I remember it was when I was doing a lot of backpacking in the late 80s, early 90s. Backpacking all over the place here in California, especially in the Sierras and things. You met a hiker, you were a kindred spirit, everything was cool. And it still seems to kind of be that way in the trail. But wow, online, we get some folks that are, and again, I'm not doubting that they're actually not getting out there on the trail and stuff. I'm sure they're actual hikers. But their attitudes are so elitist, and so that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about, is hiker elitism. Where the hell did that come from, and why is it so prevalent, especially in the online hiker community? Is it the fact that you've got that distance, not necessarily anonymity, because on things like Facebook and stuff, they want you to use your real name. Doesn't necessarily mean people are, but they're supposed to be using their real name, so you're not really anonymous and stuff. But just, and part of it is like I was talking about there, with everything, and I've said it a couple of times before, with even something as simple as trail names. There are people out there that, as far as they're concerned, you get a trail name this way, that's how it is. As if it's carved in stone somewhere. There's some kind of law. There's a penal code for hikers out there that says this is how you get a trail name, and if you don't get it that way, it's not real, and you're violating some. It's ridiculous. Some of these folks have these attitudes, and like I've said before, people they argue over what a zero is. What is a 0 day? Oh, it's this. And if you don't believe my version of what a 0 day is, then there's something wrong with you, and blah blah blah. If you're not if your base weight is above a certain thing, you're not a real hiker. You shouldn't even be on the trail and stuff. And that's really what stemmed it. There was some posts in one of the groups I'm on Facebook in, backpacking group, where somebody expressed a little concern about some weather, dealing with weather and things like that, lightning storms and just kind of big storms in general. They were a little nervous about going backpacking, and a couple of people kind of jumped in there with, well, if you're nervous about that, then stay off the trail. Don't even come out. Stay home. Well, what is wrong with people? What makes you so special that because someone has a concern about something, you can just tell them to not hike? Don't come out of the trail. Screw you. Who the hell are you? Get over yourself. And it's just that kind of stuff that's going on out there, especially, like I say, online and things like that. Now, I'm not talking about like giving good safety advice, and I've done it myself a couple of times on Facebook and stuff. Somebody will post about how I'm going to do this. Oh, that's a pretty tough hike. What kind of gear do you have? You're going to go in the middle of these mountains in December, in wintertime conditions and things like that. What kind of? Well, I've got a 3-season tent, and I've got a sleeping bag rated to 70 degrees, and I don't really have a jacket. I've got this denim jacket that I was going to bring. Okay, this person isn't geared up for winter weather in the mountains and things like that. And so I'm not going to say, "Oh, stay off the trail. Don't go out there." My advice would be something more along the lines: you might want to reconsider your trip until you get the proper gear for that kind of trip. You might want to put it off until like maybe the summertime, or if you have the money to invest, head over and get some actual winter gear that's going to help you and things like that. But I'm not going to just flat out tell them don't hike. Same thing with folks that, oh, you're nervous about, bear encounters. Yeah, that's something to be nervous about. Here are some options for you. Hike in areas that don't have bears. Big option. Use a bear canister and make sure you use the proper protocols with that canister. You don't have food in your pack, don't have food in your tent, things like that. That will lessen the chance you're going to have a negative bear encounter. There's all kinds of things you can do. But one of them shouldn't be, oh, if you're nervous about that, don't go hiking. Just stay off the trail. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But like I was saying, there's a difference between safety advice. Yeah, don't go hiking until you are prepared properly for such and such. That's different from don't hike because you're just not as good as me. And that's really what it comes down to. It's what these folks are saying. I hike like this, and if you don't do it that way, you shouldn't be out here. Bull crap. What kind of attitude is that? And it just baffles me. I don't know if any of you have run into that, but if you're on any kind of hiker groups on social media, you are going to run into that attitude. It's kind of unfortunate because they're out there. There's just folks out there where they just think they are absolutely amazing. And I'm a person that, I had a little break there while I was doing my family was younger, and I had a career going and things like that. I wasn't getting out on the trail nearly as often as I used to, but I did easily a decade, probably a decade and a half of just serious, anytime I could, hiking and serious backpacking in the Sierras, some of the deserts of Nevada and California, just stuff like that. And a little break in the middle. Now I'm getting into it. I've been doing some serious hiking lately and stuff like that. I consider myself an experienced backpacker, but I would never just overbear myself on people who are, expressing concerns about certain things or just have just basic questions. It's just ridiculous. Some of these people who just, no idea who they think they are. They just crap on people just because they can. And I'm not sure. And I've said time and time again that there's this saying in the hiking community: hike your own hike. And it is misused all the time. All the time it is misused to actually give unsafe advice. Hey, I've decided I'm going to go out and hike the desert when it's 105 degrees or higher, 110 degrees, and I'm only going to bring half a liter of water, and I'm going to be out there for 7 hours. Hey man, whatever, hike your own hike. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's bad advice. But hike your own hike does have a purpose, and I think one of the reasons why it was probably invented in the first place was because of this attitude, this elitism that's out there amongst some of the hiking community. That no, you don't have to buy the sleeping bag that only weighs half an ounce to be that ultralight and get that base weight down to below 10 pounds. You don't have to do that. If you want to do that, awesome. You freaking go for it. But should you stay off the trail, or are you less of a hiker if you don't do that? Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. That's when things like hike your own hike is applicable. And there's others out there. I'm just saying it. It's just, whether you want to be ultralight or not, whether you want to do 5 miles a day or 30 miles a day, whether you hike fast or you're a little slower on the trail like me, that's hike your own hike. And I think one of the reasons why that was created was because you have these folks out there, and I keep using the word elitist because that's what they are. They just think they're so amazing and they're just so much better because they do things a certain way, and anyone who doesn't just isn't as good as them and shouldn't even be on the trail as far as they're concerned. And it's perplexing. So I wanted to kind of get that out there. If you're new to the hiking community, be aware of that and just kind of understand that that's not the hiking community. That's a certain small portion of the hiking community, especially mostly online, who just kind of go that direction, and it's unfortunate. But please don't take that as being the hiking community as a whole, because it's not. Most of us out there on the trail are pretty low key about things. We definitely are. Most of us are very safety conscious and things like that, and will help people out with advice and things. But for the most part, we're a pretty accepting lot. We're not too worried about hikers that are a little overweight. We're not too worried about whether you're a male or a female. What your orientation is. Most of that kind of stuff just doesn't matter on the trail. We're all enjoying the trail because we get into those kind of things, and that's really what's important, not the other periphery stuff. So for the most part, that kind of stuff shouldn't enter into it, and it usually doesn't. But anything that involves human beings, you're going to have these little bits out on the fringe, little groups, the minority out on the fringe that just have to do things stupidly or be elitist or So there it is, hiker elitism. It is a thing, unfortunately, in the hiking community. So I just wanted to kind of vent about it a little bit and just kind of put that out there. That's kind of how it is. It's kind of a bummer, but what do you think? Have you run into any of that kind of stuff, either online or maybe even out there in the real life? Through hiking clubs or just on the trail. Usually on the trail, I've never really experienced it. I've had a little bit of that issue with the whole hiking club thing, and I might get into that in the future, whatchamacallit. But for the most part, it's mostly online. So as always, comment below, get a hold of me at hikingforhealthca@gmail.com. You can also get a hold of me on Instagram and on Facebook under Hiking for Health CA. Love to hear your comments on hiker elitism. Is it an issue? Is it out there? Have you run into it? Do you not really think it's that big of a problem? Who knows? But yeah, and like I said, I wanted to just kind of make sure that I got in there that this is different from advising people for safety. You shouldn't be on the trail because this is unsafe. You're walking into a fire zone. You're in the middle of the desert at 110 degrees. You have a half a liter of water. You're going into the mountains in the middle of the winter time, and you don't have any winter gear whatsoever. That's different from, what's that? Your base weight is 15 pounds, and you're nervous about bear encounters. Get off my trail. You don't belong out here. Yeah, that's two different things right there. And so I'm talking about the latter, not the former, as far as hiker elitism goes. So, hey, that's Hiker Homily number 29 for the week of August 6th. Thank you so much, as always, for watching and sticking with my little channel here. Hope you enjoy things, and as always, we'll see you next week.